from straight back and just get my money back on those.
All right, well, welcome back to the garage, everyone. I thought I would make a little intro here now that I'm in my final stages of editing today. And I just wanted to invite you to stick around towards the end of the video. I've got some really interesting things related to .5 brake fluid and classic cars. And I think the information will be really beneficial to the classic car community. So you guys stick around towards the end of the video and give it a good hard listen. And let me know what you think in the comments down below. Or just skip to the end and go ahead and watch it now. Your choice. We'll see you shortly. Hey, welcome back to the garage, everyone. All right. So, again, I'm not too sure what's going to happen this weekend, but we're going to give it our best shot nonetheless. You may recall in a previous video I said, there's nothing wrong with these brakes. They're fine. Nope. The saga continues. So, let's talk a little bit about .5 brake fluid. It's silicone-based. So, if you bought silicone brake fluid 15, 20 years ago and put it in your classic car, you were fine. It lasted, it's probably still there if you did that. I did. I never had a problem with leaks until I decided to restore this old Corvette. I decided to, again, install .5 brake fluid, which was a monumental, catastrophic mistake. My recommendation, do not install modern reformulated .5 brake fluid in any classic car. Just don't do it. I don't have proof, but my experience is one that says, yes, they reformulated it, because the minute I put these brakes back together, everything started to leak, and I couldn't make it stop leaking. I talked to the owner of Corvette stainless steel brakes, and there's a reason why they put a warranty is void if you use .5 in our products. Right? There's a reason why they put that on their website. If you look at Zip Corvette, if you look at Corvette America, Corvette Central, Top Flight Automotive, they all say the same thing. They sell brake products. They say, if you use .5, you're going to void the warranty. There's a reason why. I don't know if it's a combination of cheap Chinese rubber and a reformulation of .5 brake fluid, or just a reformulation of .5 brake fluid, but either way, there's something there, and you shouldn't be using it. From what I gather, the only folks that are using it right now are folks that own, you know, like former military vehicles, or I'm assuming the military uses it in their vehicles as well. I'm assuming they have some kind of rubber seals in their braking systems that don't break down in the presence of this stuff. Now, having said all of that, I bled these brakes on more than one occasion, took it for a test drive. The brakes worked fine, and then they started to leak down again. The master cylinder this time was the culprit, and it started to fail, and it started to leak. And also, the new proportioning valve that I bought started to leak. So I was like, okay, I'm done. I give up. And I knew if that happened again that I would have to replace every single solitary thing in the braking system, you know, aside from the emergency brake. So that's where I'm at. I have 3 calipers over there, which I've already done. Got one in here. This Ray Bestis. These 3 black boxes are Ray Bestis. That one's an AC Delco, so that's all Rock Auto had. I've got a master cylinder rebuild kit right here from Corvette stainless steel brakes, and I'll be using that to rebuild this Ray Bestis master cylinder that I bought a while back. I've got a new proportioning valve from Amazon in here. I ordered one from Zip Corvettes, but it turns out it was an import as well. And, you know, you're going to find that, I think, pretty much everywhere. And the price for those is, well, they get kind of high. So I thought, well, if they're all going to be imports and nobody's making them in the United States, I might as well just get, you know, one on Amazon. So that one was 40 bucks. So anyway. And this is the cheap Amazon one that I ruined with the .5. And there's remnants of black rubber down in there that's been eaten up by the .5 brake fluid. Also, we have new flex lines. I got these from Rock Auto, or was it? Yeah, it was Rock Auto. These are Dorman, made in China. But if you buy AC Delco, it's going to be the same part. It's going to be this. These are AC Delco right here, right? And they're the same exact part. I'm not sure if anybody's making that in the United States. If they are, comment down below. This is the one remaining caliper that I need to box up. It'll go in this box. I haven't put that one on the car just yet. I was going to try to rebuild them all again, but you know, I was just like, to heck with this. So, also I bought brand new hard lines. Here's the crossover line that goes from the passenger side back around here to the proportioning valve, which I've yet to install. Here's the front to rear line. I put that in a few weeks ago, if you may recall. Here's the crossover line we just looked at. And here's the new line that goes over from the proportioning valve to the wheel. And of course, we got new brake caliper. Well, they're remanufactured from Ray Bestis. Already mounted up here. I had replaced these hard lines years ago, and they're fine. They're practically brand new. This flex line, I replaced that just recently as well. That's that Dorman part you saw. This distribution block here and this line from Corvette, stainless steel brake lines. I changed that out a few weeks ago. And I still have to do the rear corner here. So it's a work in progress. Got to rebuild the master cylinder, got to finish putting the brake calipers on and the proportioning valve, and I've got to put all the little clamps on the hard lines. And I cleaned up the bolts and the little hold downs. I got them over here. I got a few of them drying up here. Painted them gold. I like to do that. Just makes me happy. So anyway, at least they'll look nice when I get it all back together. So there you go. This is Thursday evening. That's where I'm at. So as we go into this Friday, I'm going to continue on putting this braking system back together and hopefully get it bled. All right, it's the next day. I figure we'll rebuild the master cylinder. Here's the old stuff. It's, you know, it's been soaking in that .5, so we're not going to use that. I took the gasket that was in the master cylinder for the last, 15 or 20 years that had been immersed in the older .5, and it seems fine. Anyway, I cleaned it up with Super Clean, and then I brake cleaned it, and it doesn't seem to be any deterioration here. So this never actually saw the modern .5. So we'll reuse that as opposed to ordering a new one. Let's see, .5. You look at this. This is what I'm talking about. Using .5 brake fluid will void warranty. This comes in from Corvette stainless steel brakes. CSSB. So you can Google them. Great company, by the way. Let's see what we have. Oh, really, I think all we have to do is just take this stuff and plug it in and we're done. Hopefully. So there's one part of the plunger or piston or whatever you want to call it. And here's the outer part. Let's see, how does this go? So there's where your booster hits. And then this goes back in there. And I'm assuming it doesn't, I'm assuming it goes like that. They line up in there like that. So, all right. So let's see, let's get some brake fluid. We're going with .4. And I just, just got the Walmart brand, the Super Tech. All right, I really do not like the way conventional brake fluid feels on my skin. So it sinks in to your skin quite readily. So I guess we'll just making this up. Have you ever rebuilt a master cylinder before? No. I've taken one apart, so I know how they work, but I've never actually installed a brand new master cylinder kit before. So let's get everything lubed up with brake fluid. got to get that seal past the hole there. I guess that's not hard. No, doesn't appear to be. There we go. Hopefully that was the way to do it. We'll find out when we start, you know, putting this thing together, trying to make it work. All right, now the tricky bit is we got to hold that in there, and we got to put the C-clip in. And where did I put the C-clip? I got one laying around here somewhere. All right, there it is. I've been hyper paranoid about anything that had any kind of .5 on it. You know what I should probably do is put this thing in the vise. Let's put it in the vise. All right, so let's get our piston pushed in there. There we go. And then, well, let's see. Ha! Let's start over. All right, let's put the C-clip around the screwdriver. And I'm making this up as I go along, by the way. Then we use our C-clip pliers. Then we do this like this. There we go. And then we get that in there. Grab another screwdriver. Get that ring seated in there. There we go. I think we did it. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can't bleed this thing. And let's see, we're gonna need to cut these hoses to something that's reasonable here. Get yourself one of these little, this is like a PEX cutter actually, but it works well for this, for pretty much any kind of flexible hose. All right, we got our tubes tied down there so they won't move. So let's go ahead and do a bench bleed on our new-ish master cylinder. This is Ray Bestis picked it up off of Rock Auto, so that'll do us. And here we go. Not the easiest thing to do in the world, is it? You know what would be really hilarious is if this thing was to come loose from the bench vise and then just fly across the room, because I'm putting like 800 pounds of pressure on it. It would spew brake fluid all over the Cadillac. That would be awesome. Alrighty, I'm going to do this for a little while, and I'll be back. Alright, we have been successful. I don't see any more air bubbles floating around, so I think we can put the top on this thing and get ready to put it on the car. Well, good morning. It's the next day, and I'm pretty disappointed yet again at the state of the brakes on this old Corvette. So, you know, after the .5 debacle, you know, here we are changing out all the parts, you know. So, not going to go through that again, but I put the calipers on that I got from Rock Auto. 3 of them were Ray Bestis and 1 of them was AC Delco, because they just didn't have all 4 of them in Ray Bestis. So, you know, Ray Bestis has always been a fine product line, but you know, I don't know, not so much anymore, I don't think. Here's the deal. The 2 rear calipers seem to be fine that I put on the car. I can't actually recall which one was the AC Delco. I think one of the rears was an AC Delco. Anyway, so the 2 front calipers that I put on this car were obviously not rebuilt. They are cores that somebody turned in at some point, and I'm guessing they either made it back to the factory for a rebuild and maybe got mixed up or something and ended up on a shelf with other rebuilt calipers, and you know, Rock Auto sold them. When I put them on the car, it was obvious that they had scuff marks on them. They had brake fluid, you know, here and there on them. The pistons looked fine, but when I started to bleed them, first thing I got was old brake fluid. It was an amber color, and I got some dark debris, like some dirt and stuff, you know. Some nasty bits came out. It wasn't horrible, and after I continued to bleed the brakes, the fluid cleaned up and it cleared up because it was getting new fluid from the master cylinder. So anyway, long story short, I decided to go ahead and use them, even though they appeared as though they had not been rebuilt, or if they had been rebuilt, somebody bought them and returned them, and they probably put it on their old junk car, and maybe they bled them with crap fluid from an existing master cylinder. I don't know, I'm guessing, but the quality was crap. let's leave it at that. Alright, so I'm going to continue to try to use those two front brake calipers, but here's the real kicker of the whole deal. We could not get a brake pedal at all during the whole bleeding process. It just simply would not pump up. The brakes, I could bleed the rear brakes fine, and I was bleeding the fronts, but the right front, the air just really kind of never would go away, and just always had this little bitty bubbles in there. And we tried and tried and tried. But anyway, none of the calipers leak. I checked them this morning and they're dry. And you know, Corvette calipers are notorious for that. Rock Auto did say these are stainless steel sleeve calipers, so yeah. So here's the other side of the story. I got that master cylinder rebuild kit, right? And you saw me put it together. You saw me bleed it on the bench. I mean, it was stupid simple. You can't screw it up. There's only one way to put it in there, right? It just wouldn't pump up. It will not build pressure. And you know, when you're bleeding brakes, the other day when I was bleeding brakes, like a couple of weeks ago, and the pressure started to pump up, you could hear the brake pads click a little bit, and you could see them in the caliper. Yesterday, we never got that. So the brake master cylinder, even though I put a perfectly fine rebuild kit in it, I just don't get it. I really just do not get it. Anyway, I'm on my way to O'Reilly to buy one of their brand new Brake Best master cylinders. I'm going to look at it in the box first and see, you know, what I think about it before I buy it. But I know they've got it, and they got one in stock, so I'm going to go check it out this morning. It's just so frustrating. If I wasn't such a cheapskate, and I went down and bought, just basically spent a couple of $1,000s on some wheelwood brakes, you know, I wouldn't have this problem. But you know, it is what it is. So one last thing, that Ray Bestis brake master cylinder that I put on that car several weeks ago, up until recently, it started to fail, and I thought it was the .5. I was driving around and I lost my brake pedal, and I was like, and the brake light started to come on again, and I was like, holy cow, I couldn't build pressure. That's when I decided to just replace everything, you know. And because of the .5, I decided to go ahead and do the rebuild kit on the master cylinder, just to make sure that the rubber seals that had been inundated with .5 were no longer in there. And I'm at a loss, really. It's very confusing. I'm going to pick up a brand new master cylinder. We'll see if that works. All right, we're back. It's Saturday, and our neighbor with the best looking yard in town is hard at work doing the leaf blowing thing. So Rick's my hero, really. My yard looks terrible. All right, we're back with Brake Best. Let's see. I opened this thing at the store, and I liked what I saw. It's brand new. It's not a reman, so I'm sure it's made in China. At least it's pretty. It has a nice colored top on it. I don't know how long that'll remain. But let's see. Let's go ahead and get this thing in the bench vise. So far, so good. Get our bleeders in place here. This video is going to be so exciting. I just don't know what to do with myself. I guarantee you one thing, whenever I get these brakes squared away on this Corvette, I don't ever want to do Corvette brakes ever again. Goodness me, we're going to tighten that up a little more, aren't we? I got a little square part right there. Let's try that. I'm going to go pushing on this thing. I don't want it to move, you know. Well, the bypass holes are like the same size as the standard holes, so that's a little interesting. Not sure what that's about. Usually you have, you know, you got two holes in there, right? Usually one of them's a lot smaller because it's what they call the bypass hole. And but on this one, they're the same size. So not sure what that's about. It's not moving, so we should be able to bleed it. All right, we got our hoses tied down there. And by the way, if you want to get brake fluid out of a master cylinder before you take it off of the car, go down to Walmart and pick up some of these condiment bottles, you know, and you know, you can suck the juice out that way. Works pretty good. All right, let's do it again. All right, here we go. We got my great big number 3 or 4. Number 3 Phillips, USA, baby. Ooh, okay. Overcome the initial friction there. Ooh, boy, this is exciting. All right, got her buttoned up, got some little plugs on my things there, and let's go ahead and get this thing over to the car and start bolting it up. All right, there she is bolted up. Not a bad looking unit, really. Lickety split, really. I've done this several times now, so it's not hard, but it's a little cumbersome. And the bolts that hold this thing to the booster, this bolt right here is kind of hard to get a wrench on, but once you get the hang of it, not really a problem. Got the lines cinched down, and right about now it's time to bleed brakes once again. All right, no dice, didn't work. There's the brake best master cylinder, and it's perfectly fine. As you can see, the front chamber has been drained, and the reason for that is I've removed the 2 front calipers, which I believe are the root of our problems. As you can see, I got the bottle over there, and got the fluid drained out. A bottle on either side for the fluid to drain into. Anyway, these 2 front calipers simply weren't rebuilt by whoever Rock Auto has to do it. They had old fluid in them when I got them. The bleeders were destroyed. I had to take the bleeders out of my other calipers. They just leak. They get air in them and they won't build pressure. I think the bleeders are the source, because I didn't see any fluid coming from the pistons. I think the bleeders are just screwed, and the threads, they just don't seal. So anyway, that's my theory. I can't say for sure. I've already got the you know, I got that's my last box there, and I got the other 3 in the car. The 2 rears are going back for core. My 2 rear are going back for core. The 2 front that I got, they're going in for an exchange. So hopefully I'll get 2 that are actually function this next go around. All right, I'm gonna head on up to the where is it? I think it's the Walgreens. Yeah, FedEx drop-off point. This is going to be an exciting video, I'm telling you. All right, so you know, we get to wait for Rock Auto to receive my 2 front calipers and for them to send me 2 replacements, and hopefully they'll work. That process will probably take a week and a half, I would assume. Not sure. I was actually very tempted to go try to buy 2 more from O'Reilly. When I get those other 2 back and they don't work for whatever reason, I'm just going to go ahead and get on Corvette stainless steel brakes and just bite the bullet, spend the money on brand new reproduction GM calipers. They're like $200 a piece. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So but for right now, there's been something that's been bugging me for months. So if you may recall, or you may or may not, I don't know. Anyway, I had a ton of problems with a quadrijet on this Cadillac. The original one, it just wasn't good. And you know, I rebuilt it and nothing really ever changed. And did I send it off and have it rebuilt? No, I bought a rebuilt one, and then I rebuilt the one I had. Just nothing would ever work. It was just a basket case. Well, anyway, I have this one, and I got this from a dude. He goes by Cadillac Kid, I think is his name, on the Cadillac and LaSalle Club's forums. He was on the Cadillac, I think it was on the 472 page, and on Facebook, and I ran across him, and I was asking about carburetors, and he's like, hey man, just inbox me. I was like, do you have a carb that I, can put on my vehicle? And he goes, yep, I got some good cores, and I'll rebuild you one. And, I forgot what I paid for it. It was pretty reasonable. But this is off of 72, and this carb run is fantastic. It works great. Of course, we still have a little rough running thing down inside here. I think the heads have got to come off. It really needs a valve job. Everything else I've gone through everything else, the ignition system, the fuel system, everything. There's not anything up top superficial that you can do to correct the little bit of, that this engine has. I mean, it hauls butt, you nail it and it goes, man. But I think the valve, one or two valves, just the seat might be a little off. Maybe one of the lifters might have a little, but some top end work, it needs some top end work. Anyway, enough of that. This is a 72 carb. So from 71, the fuel fitting was one size, and then they changed it in 72. This is off of 72, and when it came in with that bigger fuel inlet size. And basically, what the deal is, I've got the wrong filter in there. I've got the filter for a 71 in there, and you need a different size filter. And I've got it over there. I've got the new fuel fitting that goes with this carb, and I've got what I need. And anyway, I'm gonna quit rambling and we'll see if we can't get to work here. Let's show you what we got. Here we go. Here's the new fitting. This is the proper fitting that's supposed to go with that carburetor. And there we go, brand new. Got this from Quadratech. It's a Jeep site. I got it from quadrijetpower.com. They have all kinds of parts for these carburetors. Got the proper filter, and we have the proper fitting, and we have the proper spring for that 72 carburetor. And I've been sitting on my bench for months, and I've been like putting it off. And well, anyway, today's the day. So let me get a light. All right, we've got ourselves a light. Let's go ahead and get this ground off of here. We don't want any sparks when we're messing with the gasoline, you know what I'm saying? It's a Die-Hard battery. I really like Die-Hard. But that don't really mean a whole lot, because O'Reilly, AutoZone, and Advance all use the same battery manufacturer. Clarios. And the only difference is the sticker. And the one at O'Reilly says, what does it say? Super Start. And AutoZone says Duralast, or whatever it says, whatever their brand is. But Advance Auto Parts owns the Die-Hard name now. So if you used to buy a Die-Hard battery at Sears, 25 years ago, of course they're gone. So, but anyway, the Die-Hard, I like the Die-Hard sticker. It's pretty. So, even though it's the same battery, I just like the way it looks. Seems fitting for a Cadillac. Now, I made this wrench for a Quadrijet carburetor, specifically for this car, so 1 inch here. I welded it to a piece of steel, and it's got a nice thin line, and it's sort of like a huge flare nut. I cut this, I cut down a Pittsburgh cheap Harbor Freight socket. Let me get my other flare nut wrench. Let's get a paper towel under there. There we go. Soak some gasoline up there. Let's get the our special wrench on here. Hey, look at that, I put Q-Jet on it. That's kind of cool. I just realized that this 5/8 flare nut wrench may not, I don't have enough room. I should have made this special tool a little thinner to accommodate this flare nut wrench here. All right, I think I got them on there. Let's see what happens here. There we go. Now we can use the regular wrench. I don't know why I went through all that trouble. I got to take that fitting off anyway, so. But, is what it is. This A6 compressor is just a royal pain in the butt. It's just in the way with everything you do on this engine. If you want to take the intake manifold, you got to disconnect it from the intake and then pivot the whole thing up out of the way. It's just a big old mess. All right, got our hose out of the way now. Let's get that vacuum line out of our way. That thing there is just a pain. All right. Get our wrench on there. And we can crack it loose there. I really didn't have any interest in doing this, to be honest with you. The only reason I'm doing this is because the filter that's inside here is the wrong one. And that's just, you know, that just won't do. It's all dangling around in there, you know, it's the wrong size and it's just not right. And it was halfway, you know, it was a, you know, just to get the car running, you know. But we're going to put the right part for this carburetor on here. Now I got to get something to pull that out of the, filter out. Come on out of there now. Oh yeah, it's one of those. This was the filter I had. It was, I guess what you call copper or brass. You know, one of those granulated looking steel metal looking things. Don't know what it's called, but it's rattling around in there without a spring. You know, which is, it's just not right. You know, can't have that. So that's what the old one looked like, and it comes with a gasket there. All right, so here's the new fitting. And it has a little, I don't know what kind of washer that is, plastic I guess, it's on the tip here. The old one had this other washer which went around the base, but you know, I don't know if that's appropriate for this or not, but I'm gonna put it on there anyway. Can't hurt anything. We got a new spring, which goes up inside the carb, and then we have the new filter. Don't want to put the filter in wrong. There's one end's closed and one end's open, right? So the open end is going to go towards, you know, towards the fuel line, clearly. And the closed end goes up and towards the carb, so the fuel goes in there, gets filtered and comes out, you know, through the ribs in the filter. Very simple, I know, but you got to tell yourself these things, otherwise you put the damn thing in there backwards and you're like, what's going on? Why won't this thing run? And you're like, you know, then you just become a dumbass. So put spring up in there. And we're going to put our new fitting in here. And hopefully we won't have any problems. Not going to have any problems out of you, are we? Let's see. All right. Actually, the special tool that I made, you really don't need it to tighten this down. What it's used for is to take the fuel line on and off, so that it prevents you from loosening this big fitting if you need to take the fuel line off for any reason. So since I was going to take this off anyway, I really didn't need to use that, but you know, whatever. Let's see, how tight do we want to make this? I think I'm going to call that good. Let's get our fuel line. That's a big old honking fuel line too. This 472 loves the gasoline. And let me tell you what, don't let me forget to reconnect that vacuum line there before we start this thing up, all right? All right, so we don't want to put any more tightening on the big one. Yeah, there we go. Boy, this is just excitement a mile a minute. This shouldn't take too much. That should do it. Let's get this vacuum line back on here. Needle nose are good. Man, I love me some needle nose. There we go. All right, time for a leak check, I reckon. All right. Pump a little out of the bowl in there. Let's fire the old girl up. Contact. Oh yeah, we got to have a battery first. Golly. Well, that's a real noob thing to do, isn't it? Get our battery connected up. You see these guys do these will it run car, you know, get it out a car out in the field and get it cranked and all that. You know, fun to watch and everything, but ultimately some of the stuff they do is pretty daggum stupid. You know, all they're doing is they never tighten the battery cables. They always just go slam it down on there and just hope for the best, and you know, and then they wonder why it won't turn over very well. So it's pretty foolish. Contact. All right, she's running on high idle. Let's see what. Oh, you guys are over there. That was pretty dumb, wasn't it? Now she's leaking. We got to shut her down. I know what this needs, and I didn't think about it while I was doing it. When you got a flare nut connection, especially with brake lines, if you got a new part and you've got a line that's going to connect up to it, and it's an old line and a new part, you got to build a witness mark around that angled connection down inside there. So you tighten it, you back off, tighten a little more, back off, tighten a little more, back off, so on and so forth, and you build that compression witness line around that connection, and that will, you know, eliminate your leaks. That's done me very well with brake lines, and I'm assuming that's what we're dealing with right here, and I just simply forgot about it. So, because I just wanted to get through this, and I hate messing with fuel because, you know, anyway. All right, let me take the negative cable back off, and let me fiddle with that. I'll be right back. All right, I think we got it. All right, take it off choke there. If it's leaking, you can see the fuel drip down on that little black vacuum hose, which is, I guess, one good useful thing for that hose, other than being in my way. All right, that's kind of a dreadful little task that I've been kind of dreading. So anyway, I'm glad that's over with. I like to get rid of that little bit of a digga, you know. It should just go boom, 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 but it doesn't. It goes, which is stupid, but it is what it is. So there's something in there. There's like a valve seat. I've got to take the heads off this motor, take the lifters out, and just give everything a good going over. And while we're at it, we're going to completely refurbish the air conditioning system because it needs it. Let's see what it sounds like on just a real quick hot start here. So if you guys remember my last video on the idle stop solenoid, which I put on the Corvette to maintain idle while the air conditioner is on, this car has one to keep it from dieseling when you shut it off. Now you'll note that I just reached in and cranked the engine, and I had to come flip the throttle because the idle stop solenoid is not powerful enough to move the throttle. Once it's extended, it can hold it there, And that's how you set the idle on this car, is by adjusting the idle stop solenoid, not the screw on the carburetor. But once I flip the throttle, you'll note that it idled right up to its normal position. So if you're going to crank one of these cars and you have this installed, you're going to have to press the throttle a little bit. That's just the way it is. All right, it's the next day. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. When the exchange for the 2 front calipers from Rock Auto comes in this coming Thursday, I'm just going to ship them straight back and just get my money back on those. And then, of course, I'll get the money back on the core on the 2 rears, so that'll be all right. So I got to looking around last night, and I said, you know what? What about Advance Auto Parts? What do they have to offer? You know, I've always had good luck with their CarQuest line, and that's what this is. Of course, I had to turn my cores in. You know, they keep the boxes, so anyway. It said they were remanufactured, but they look new. I mean, the coating they used is really nice. That's super nice, actually. You know, the pistons and seals and everything. It just looks good. And the bleeders are brand new. And look at that nice rubber seal in the fluid port there. Just exquisite. I mean, you know, if the problem is in the front calipers, which I think it is, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of ifs here, but this looks like we're going to be okay. But the only thing that was kind of weird about it, you get the little kit for your hardware, and you get a pin, and you get 2 new copper washers, and they gave you a banjo bolt and a clip to hold the pads in. But anyway, you got a banjo bolt here. I'm assuming that, you know, some cars may or may not have banjo bolt style brake hose. You know, Corvettes don't typically use that. So that minor difference being a, you know, the only slightly concerning thing. Just wanted to make sure that the stock brake hose actually fits in here. And it appears to. Appears to just fine, and I'll just use one of the new copper washers that came with it, and we'll put it on the car. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and bolt these up here, and I'll be back shortly. All right, there's the driver's side bolted up. Hoses cinched down, all ready to go. Go ahead and do the passenger side next, and then we'll fill her back up and see if we can't bleed these brakes. All right, well, we got the car back together. It's drivable, just. The brakes are still wounded, I guess you might say. The brake light is on. Right now, what I think is going on is I've got the front brakes squared away with those new ones from CarQuest Advance. And I think the rears are okay-ish, but they're not great. They're Rock Auto calipers. I think they're a problem. The brake light's on, and I'll tell you why I think the rear is a problem. So when I was bleeding the brakes today, of course my wife is, you know, the pedal pumper here, and she tells me what she feels when I open the bleeder screws around on the different wheels, and that lets me know whether I'm being successful or not. So anyway, so when we were bleeding the rear brakes, when I would open the bleeder, she would not feel the pedal move down farther, and that's a problem. So, you know, I'd say, you know, down, and then I would open it, and I'd close it, and I say up, you know. But during that process, when I opened it, she normally, if the bleeding process is, you know, correct, the pedal should go down a little farther when you do that. It's not the case with the rears, so there's a problem back there. So here's the plan. I think what I'm going to do is once the Rock Auto core charges come in, and I actually selected to get a replacement for those front crappy calipers, but I think when I get them in, I'm just going to ship them straight back and say, nah, I've changed my mind. Just give me a refund on those 2 fronts, and I'll use the 2 Rock Auto calipers on the rear. I'll use those as cores and I'll go buy 2 brand new rear calipers from Advance on their CarQuest line like I did for the fronts here. So anyway, so we'll use the refunds from Rock Auto to fund the you know, some new calipers for the rear. These front calipers I put on today from the CarQuest line from Advance were exquisite. I mean, everything about them was pristine. All the bleeders were the brand new, the threads were perfect, there's no corrosion whatsoever. It was just perfect. And the Rock Auto stuff I got in was just junk. I mean, if you have a C3 Corvette and you need some brake calipers, do not buy any of them from Rock Auto. Just don't do it. It's just a joke. All right, enough of that. So I'm going to get the brakes squared away here in another week or so, because I'm going to replace the junk that's on the back with some new stuff, and it's going to be fine. Up until just this point, I've been pretty stressed about it. So, so now I want to finish up the video with some very interesting information about .5 brake fluid. And so a while back I told you, I got an older brother. He's a PhD in polymer chemistry. He's been in the petrochemical industry for, I don't know, 35, 40 years. He knows a lot about this stuff. So I quizzed him. I said, hey man, check out the safety data sheet on this new formulated .5, and then think about this situation where you have brake parts with EPDM seals. EPDM is a synthetic rubber that's used everywhere now. Under the conditions of high heat and high pressure in a braking system, and considering all of those situations, what would be the effect on the seals knowing the ingredients in the .5? I'm going to take you over here to the shop computer and we'll show you a little something. All right, so I've got the material safety data sheet for a popular name brand .5 brake fluid up here on the shop computer. I'm not going to go into the name brand because I'm not going to throw them under the bus. But the main ingredients here are polydimethylsiloxane. Anyway, not sure what that does. Bis 2-ethylhexyl sebacate and tributyl phosphate. Now, those are the 3 main ingredients. Now, the percentages are a trade secret according to this. So anyway, I was talking to my brother, and he said this guy right here, the one in the middle, not sure if you can see what's going on or not, but right in here, Bis 2-ethylhexyl sebacate. Guess what that is? The first use of this particular ingredient is to promote the flow of hydraulic fluids and oils, okay, which makes sense. The other part that it's also good for is being an excellent plasticizer. And my brother, he sent me a Marco on the app there. He's like, why in the world are they using that in brake fluid? He's like, it's an excellent plasticizer. Why would they put that in there? He goes, also, under the situation in a braking system where you have high heat and high pressure, it'll just make the problem even worse. If you look at the Corvette Stainless Steel Brakes website, they have a little write-up there on their website. They don't have the chemical stuff on there to show you, what precisely is in there that's causing the problem. But they did create an experiment. They took some of these rubber seals and O-rings and whatnot, and they put them in this new formulated .5 and heated them up to, like, I don't know, 300 or 400 degrees for several hours, and which would be, a long trip in a car, same situation. And the O-rings and the seals and whatnot were much larger. They ballooned up, they expanded, and it's the plasticizers. It's this Bis 2-ethylhexyl sebacate in the .5. That's what's causing the problem. I don't know when this formulation changed. I don't know how long this formulation has been around. Maybe there was less of it at some point. Maybe there's more now. I don't know all those details, but this is a very likely ingredient that would be causing the issues with the classic cars and .5 brake fluid. So anyway, that whole deal was just really bugging me, and everybody's saying just don't use it, it'll mess things up. Well, that's just not good enough. I want to know why. So there you go. Thanks for sticking around with me today, everyone. I know I've been kind of a gloomy Gus with the brakes on the Corvette, but man alive, it's just driving me bonkers. So all right, that's enough for this weekend. Can I just go back to work at my regular job now? I'm looking forward to just going back to my regular job on Monday. All right, folks, I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, don't forget to click that little bell down below. You guys have a good one, and remember to enjoy driving and stopping your classic C3 Corvette.